What's up, everyone? Today I'm bringing a deck profile on my P.U.N.K Virtual Worlds. Now, this is more leaning towards the Virtual World side of things, so I'm planning on making a profile where I'm going to do like more of a pure P.U.N.K build. Because I really like the P.U.N.K cards because they got, in my opinion, they got like really nice art. This is the collector's rare, not to flex. And P.U.N.K right now is kind of best more so as an engine rather than its own deck. You got P.U.N.K Virtual Worlds as well as P.U.N.K Knights. But I feel like P.U.N.K Virtual World is kind of like the better build, but that's arguable. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First off, I run 3 Virtual World Lulu. Now, all the Virtual Worlds have an effect to where if you target one Virtual World card you control, send one Virtual World card of a different type, monster, spell, trap from your deck to your hand, and if you do, special summon this card. And each of them have a different secondary effects. Sometimes it's send a card of the third type. So if you targeted a monster, sent a spell, you can also send the trap, or may add a monster or a special summon or do something else. But I'll go over each card when that comes. But for Lulu, after a summon, you can add one Virtual World card from your deck to your hand. Unfortunately, the Virtuals, they lock you into rank 3 or higher monsters, or level or rank 3 or higher monsters. So can't use links, can't summon anything that's level 1 or 2 or rank 1 and 2. Also run the 3 Lalo. Lalo, when it is special summoned by its effect, you special summon one Virtual World monster from your graveyard in a defense position with a different name than the card you sent to the graveyard, but negate its effects. Also run 3 Lily. Lily allows you to send a card of the third type. Now, keep in mind that all of them have the same effect too. If they're in the hand, you can target a Virtual World card you control, send one Virtual World card of a different type, monster, spell, trap from deck to hand if you do special summon it. So I'm just going to kind of gloss over that and just mention their additional effects. Also run 3 Gigi. That one allows you to add a card of the third type during the end phase. And the 1 Yan Yan. Yan Yan doesn't have a similar effect as the other 3. This one is more so in the grave. If a level 3 monster is normal special summon to your field while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card as a tuner, but banish it when it leaves the field. So basically what you want to do is you want to send Yan Yan off one of the effects of probably like a GG or something else. And then when you summon a level 3, you just summon Yan Yan out and it'll be a tuner. Next, I did say this was a P.U.N.K Virtual World deck. I run the 1 no P.U.N.K Foxy Tune. Foxy Tune, when this card is destroyed as opponent monster per battle, you can gain life points equal to the monster's original attack, equal to the opponent's monster's original attack. That part doesn't really matter. It also has a effect to where you can contribute one P.U.N.K monster spell summon this card from your hand, and then you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, send one card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, spell summon one P.U.N.K monster from your deck except a level 8 monster. One good thing with the P.U.N.K engine, with Foxy Tune in particular, you can basically discard one of your virtual monsters. Let's say you have Nyan Yan in the hand, or the Quinglon, or the Trap. Virtual World spells and traps outside of Chi-Chi and Kulon are really good in the grave. So it's a good way of getting those to the grave, and also special summoning out a P.U.N.K monster. Also run the 1 no P.U.N.K Xiamen. Xiamen is essentially a searcher. Pay 600 life points, add one P.U.N.K monster from your deck to your hand, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one P.U.N.K monster you control. It gains 800 attack. I really don't like that you have to pay life points to activate all of the P.U.N.K monsters effects except Foxy Tune and I think the Ogre. It doesn't really need that, but at least if you have to pay an amount, it's a small amount. Also run the 1 Jorai P.U.N.K Madam Spider. You can pay 600 life points to add one P.U.N.K trap card from your deck to your hand. It's really the only reason you run this is to search out the Gabu trap. I also run 3 Effect Veiler, 3 Ash, and 3 Ghost Ogre. Those are like the hand traps I feel like that are kind of like the best right now. Like you could also run the Ciphering Gear Gamma. Nibiru, I kind of mind, let's just play it as like a going second card because it can end up destroying your own board. It's really only good for going second since we got options like Dark Hole, Raigeki. You don't really need that Nibiru in the main deck as much. Moving on to spells, I run 3 Virtual World Kulon, or Kowloon, however it's pronounced. You can place one Virtual World Gate card from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone. Then you can apply the following effects in sequence based on the number of Virtual World Gate cards you control. That part's not really affect, well, the place a Virtual World Gate card from your deck face up your spell and trap zone. That's really the only reason you run it. Basically, you can place your Chi-Chi face up, which is which can pop cards. 2 Virtual World Gates. All Virtual monsters gain 200 attack. 3 send the top 3 cards of your deck to your graveyard. 4 spell summon up to 4 Virtual monsters with different names from your extra deck. That will basically never happen because we don't even run 4 of them. Thankfully it says like up to 4, so like it can potentially happen, but odds are you won't be activating that effect. It's just to place a Virtual World Gate. I also run the 3 Quinglong. Quinglong, when it's in the grave, you can banish this card from your graveyard to add one Virtual Mode monster from your deck to your hand. Then send one card from your hand to the graveyard. Gate also has an effect on field 2. You can banish one Virtual card from your graveyard. The target one face up monster in the field negates its effects until the end of the turn. You mainly want it for the end grave, and you mainly want to like foolish it off of your Virtual monster's effects. Also run 3 Itelli. because any psychic deck, 3 utility is basically a must. For the traps, I run a 2 Chuche. Chuche, you can target 1 face-up card on the field. Shuffle 2 of your banished virtual cards with different names from each other into the deck, then destroy that card. And during your main phase, you banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 virtual monster you control. Increase or decrease its level or rank by 3 until the end of this turn. So this one has both a good on-field effect and a grave effect. Although I more so like it for the on-field effect, more so than the grave, because obviously having popping can be very useful. Also run 1 virtual gate John Woo. During the battle phase, if you control another virtual monster, another virtual gate card, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field, change its spell position. That part you don't really, it's more so for the grave effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 virtual monster in your graveyard, spells to summon it, but negates its effects, then send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. So it's kind of like a Monster Reborn, but from the grave. Also run 3 Imperm to help with their opponent's monsters. And I also run the 1 Joy Punk Dangerous Gabu. Now, Gabu, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, negates its effects until the end of the turn. Then if you control a Punk monster, gain life points equal to the targeted monster's original attack. Most oftentimes, you're not really going to have a Punk monster on the field during your opponent's turn, but that can come up if you happen to have one. You mainly want it for basically the Imperm effect. I run 2 Dewy, or Juju, or Jai, I don't know. I don't know how that's pronounced. Cannot be stored by our card effects while you have 2 or more monsters in your graveyard. Then you can banish 2 monsters from your graveyard with the same original type and attribute, but different names. Target 1 card on the field, send it to the graveyard. This card doesn't really come up too often. You mainly only want it because it is a level 6 Synchro. If you want to, you could probably swap this out for Brio, but I mainly run this more so because in the event that you can get the full effects of Quilloon off. I also run the 1 virtual QB Shen. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, any card sent from the field to the graveyard is banished instead, so it's basically a Macrocosmos. That's really the only effect to use for, but it does have an additional effect when your opponent's monster declares an attack to the owner's graveyard. During your main phase, step to turn this card was sent to the graveyard. You banish 2 other monsters from your graveyard, but different original types and attributes from each other. Spell summon this card from the graveyard. Also run the 1 Stardust Charge Warrior. Summon it, draw 1. I run the 1 Cargo Dragon. Kind of the same reason as Stardust Charge Warrior, although it does have a little bit more to do. It has a quick effect where you can discard 2 cards and target 1 card on the field, destroy it. Not really going to come up too much because obviously you have to discard 2 cards for 1 pop. Not really too great. You mainly just run for the fact that it is drop power and a level 9. Same with Vermilion and Dragon Mech. Not really so much for its effect, more so for the fact that it's a level 9. While we don't have the True King of All Calamities anymore, there is still a rank 9 that you can go into. Or in the 1 Yu-Gi-Oh! Amazing Dragon. This one you're probably going to go into the least because that requires you to land to have both a level 3 and a level 8 monster on the field, which the only way that's going to happen is if you just summon the Foxy Tune. Now, when this card is Synchro Summon, you target cards on your opponent controls up to the number of level 3 psychic type monsters with different names you control and in your graveyard. Return them to the hand. So it's basically a compulse for how many level 3 psychic type monsters you have in your grave with different names. Then you can target 1 Punk monster in your graveyard, except Amazing Dragon, special summon it. I run the 1 Ultimate Tzolk'in. Tzolk'in basically, whenever you set a card, or when a spell trap card is set on your side of the field, spell summon 1 Power Tool Synchro Dragon or 1 level 7 or 8 Dragon type Synchro monster, aka Crystal Wing. Basically, Crystal Wing is just an automatic gate. Whenever a monster activates an effect, you can negate it. Also run the 1 Levier of the Sea Dragon. Once per turn, detach material from this card. The target banished level 4 or lower monster, spell summon to your field. Sometimes it comes up, but it's also another way to be able to reuse the Nyanya. Also run the 1 Break Sword, 1 Constellar Ptolemy M7. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card. The target 1 monster's field or in either graveyard. Return that target to the hand. Doesn't really come up too much. It's like you go into your Synchros more than your XYZ. I think like the XYZ monsters I go into first are the Levier, maybe Zeus, or some of the other cards. Also run the 1 Downward Magician, which you can probably guess why, because I also run a Zeus, and I also run a Phantom Fortress Entrablathnir. It's a weird name. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, then activate 1 of these effects. Banish 1 card your opponent controls, 1 random card from their opponent's hand, 1 card from your opponent's graveyard, or the top card of your opponent's deck face up. So this can be very disruptive, although it is a bit of a gamble. You can end up hitting a important combo piece or control card in your opponent's hand, or maybe not. You can end up getting rid of a annoying card. Let's say they have a Phoenix Enforcer on the grave. You just take care of that. So there's lots of uses for it. And that's it for my Punk virtual deck. If you want to see the combos and test hands of it, make sure to go to visit my Patreon, and I will see you in the next video I make. Bye.